Welcome to Shabbos Shoutout. This past week, we were introduced in the book of Exodus to the story of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses. In a story you're familiar with, the Torah describes how Moshe's sister Miriam watched and waited to see what would happen to her little brother when he was cast adrift on the Nile River in a basket. The Talmud makes an astounding statement. Because Miriam waited and watched to see what would happen to her brother, all the Jewish people waited for Miriam for 7 days when she was temporarily exiled from the camp when she was later punished for speaking Lashon Hara. Why did Miriam merit such a great reward for a seemingly inconsequential act? The story is told of a woman named Dora Rappaport, who had been sent to Auschwitz with her 2-year-old daughter Eva, where they were separated, and all trace of Dora's daughter Eva was lost. Dora, who survived the infamous Nazi death camps, met her husband in a DP camp after the war, moved to Ohio, but never stopped looking for her firstborn, even after having 2 daughters and a son. Dora's children grew up feeling the tragic story intimately, as their mother, who could also be lots of fun and sparkly, sometimes stayed in bed crying for the day while clutching the only picture that she had of Eva as a child. Dora also searched through Europe several times to go through the orphanages and spent much time writing to organizations such as the Red Cross in her desperate attempt to find her daughter. Before she passed away in 1996 from a brain tumor, Dora asked her daughters to continue the search. Although the sisters had long concluded that Eva must have been murdered, along with the 1.5 million child victims of the Holocaust, they honored their mother's wishes, but also came up empty. Last year, however, they turned to MyHeritage, a genealogy platform that has a genetic testing service, and they struck gold. They received an email in April of 2020 saying that they probably had a niece living in England by the name of Claire Ray. Claire received an email also telling of 2 aunts that lived in the United States. Claire was stunned, as all her mother knew of her history was that she had been separated from her mother during the Holocaust. While Eva wanted to learn of her past, all her searches came to naught because she didn't even know her birth date or her real name, just that she was called Chava in Hebrew and later Evelyn in English. Claire knew that her mother had somehow reached Israel after World War II and was adopted as a child by a young family that moved to England. Evelyn married and raised Claire and her 3 siblings, always believing her immediate family must have perished during the war. Eva passed away in 2014 of pancreatic cancer. Any doubt about the testing results disappeared immediately after the American and British sides exchanged pictures, as Dora and Evelyn looked remarkably alike. The numerous phone calls that followed confirmed that the mother and daughter shared many personality traits as well. Everything about them was almost identical, Dina, Dora's daughter, said. It was breathtaking, she added. COVID restrictions then kept the families physically apart, although the siblings and their children both used Zoom to be able to get to know each other. And with the help of her children and the MyHeritage staff, Claire finally managed to get to Ohio this past November to surprise her aunts. When she knocked on Dina's door, Claire said, "They were totally stunned, which is what I wanted." The 3 women hugged and cried and laughed through their tears. 75 years after a baby was taken from her mother's arms at Auschwitz, their families were reunited, all because a mother never gave up hope of finding her child. We began with the story of Miriam watching and waiting to see what happened to her little brother. Why did Miriam receive a great reward many years later? Miriam not only never gave up hope that Moshe would be okay, but in the midst of the horrific Egyptian persecution of the Jews, Miriam never gave up hope that Hashem would save the Jewish people. There are no hopeless situations. There are only people who have grown hopeless about them. The lesson from these stories is learn to never underestimate the impossible and to never give up hope. Good Shabbos.